Welcome to Why Don't We Dress for Dinner Anymore with our host, senior style icon, and beauty in beige, Teddi Krochman.
And Melissa Pierce, documentarian and natural redhead. Today we'd like to welcome our guest, Arabel Alva Rosales. Arabel is the president and CEO of AAR Tech, a successful management and technology firm with over 20 years of experience. She's also the proud founder of Pivoting in Heels, a digital nonprofit dedicated to empowering women. Arabel is also the founder and CEO of Runway Latinx, a globally recognized social enterprise that encompasses fashion, mixology, and entertainment. And finally, she's the host of a new podcast out right now called Chic Innovator.
Love that.
Welcome, Arabel.
Thank you. So happy to be here. Exciting to be with you two amazing ladies.
Yes,
Thank
and
you so
we're
much for having
excited.
me.
Yes, we're so excited to have you, Arabel. I met you, I remember I was telling Melissa at the FGI Rising Star Awards thing, and then I went to your Latinx fashion show, which was fabulous, and she's going to hold it again this year, so everybody has to make sure
October
that they
18th.
go to that. She has vendors, she has all kinds of cocktail. It's just a fabulous event. The clothes everybody wears is spectacular. It was really wonderful.
And Arabel and I know one another from tech.
Tech and fashion and everything
15
else.
years ago. We don't even know where we met, but apparently we know a lot of
Yes.
people in common.
Yes.
They met somewhere down the line.
Yes.
So, Arabel, needless to say, based on your introduction alone, we can say that you are a real powerhouse. You're a dynamo. You are one of those people that's just, you've got your hand in everything. So, one of the things that we'd like to know is, how did your experience, because you started out in the tech world, right? How did your experience from the tech world lead you to all of the things that you're involved with in the fashion world?
So I have to give credit to my parents. My parents are, my dad has passed away now, but I'm a mini version of my dad. They both came from Mexico, so I've got immigrant parents background. They met here, fell in love, and my dad was actually a tailor from Mexico that turned designer. At one point, when I was growing up, he had 40 to 50 people sewing all of his designs in the Wicker Park area. And we actually had some stores that would sell his product. But one of the big things that he did, and this is why I say I'm kind of a mini my dad, is that he had one of the first Spanish TV programs. So he did what is...
Was he on Telemundo or something?
No, this was...
Before Telemundo.
Yeah, before Telemundo. So it was one of the first Spanish TV programs. And he would invite these incredible celebrities from Mexico, from Latin America. They would be on a show. He would design clothes for them. And then they would go and market. Now, I'm a little kid, right? So he would have me sometimes on the show. And at one time, he even made me, because I really didn't like it as much at the time. Now I realize he kept saying, this will be good for you in the long run. And I'm completely bilingual, bicultural. What made me have a Spanish radio program. So I grew up in this whole environment. And one of the big things for me was seeing my parents being entrepreneurs. And my mom was always saying she was helping my dad. But the truth was, she was the manager. She was managing the finances.
Isn't that the case of women?
Yes.
That's so normal.
Yes, so normal. And so I got the very feminine side, I think, from my mom. My mom, as we were growing up, I have a sister that's older. But as I was growing up, I remember she was always making clothes for us. And even when we were in Catholic school, she would always put little lace. And there was always like
a little touch,
right? And with my dad, he was actually designing clothes. And people would search him out. And I'd go with him to Michigan, Wisconsin, other states, and people would know him because of the program.
Did he design, was it particularly women's clothes?
It was mostly men's clothes.
Men's clothes.
But they had a twist to them. Like they had a flair to them. And so I grew up also being very comfortable with men that were comfortable in their own skin and wearing clothes, that were elegant.
And that is something that we know from the Mexican culture is men are much more comfortable being a little flashy and just having a little more pizzazz than American men who are afraid of anything too flashy.
Not anymore, though. I think you see a lot more men now.
Absolutely.
They're come out and be elegant,
especially in our fashion world.
Well, especially in fashion.
Well, if you go to my event though, Runway Latinx. Prior to that, I was co-founder of Latino Fashion Week. I did that for many years and traveled all over the world, going to shows, looking for designers, etc. You've been there. It's about 52% women and about 48% men.
There you go. So just as many men.
And I love it because the men will deck out as much as women. But that was the environment.
What was the name of your dad's brand? Did he have like a brand name?
Alva Molina.
Say that again.
Alva Molina.
Oh, Alva Molina. Wasn't that his name? His last?
His full name was Jesus Alva Molina. So he used Alva Molina, as his name, which is interesting because I use Alva Rosales.
You do.
So it's kind of interesting without me thinking it, and so I wanted to be in a position with my education. I've got a law degree, that's my background, but I wanted always to be in a position where I could help business owners because I saw the struggles that they went through and I knew that education would be one of those things. And I wish I could go back in time. He passed away right around the time right after he passed away, I decided to start doing these really large programs and fashion shows and everything and getting in there because for me, it was a way to give back. It wasn't a source of money for me necessarily because I've always given the money back to not-for-profits and I'm involved in many business organizations that help. But for me, it was a way to give back and help those entrepreneurs, especially those that are interested in the fashion industry. Because if I would have had the tools that I have now, I mean, can you imagine? Because I understand there's a lot of designers that have one or two people working for them. He had people cutting the designs.
He had a big operation.
Huge operation. We were getting orders from all over the world.
Wow, that's fabulous.
So I wish I had known what I know now, but and that's why for me opening those doors is extremely important.
Yeah, it seems like your fashion roots then really are based on your experience with your dad and your mom, of course, managing the business as well. So fashion really is in your blood. Even though you went, what made you go to law school then? Let me ask you that in particular law.
Yes. So what a lot of people don't know is I actually took design for a year and a half because I've always loved design. I've always loved fashion. And then I said, I don't know if I'm going to make a lot of money with this. And the doors opened for me to get into technology. It's another long story, but I actually worked my way through school, through college, working for a governor. And there was an opportunity there. I started piecing all the things together, and I became director of the Liquor Control Commission.
Yes.
What? Okay, I think I mentioned that too.
Aren't you still?
No.
Okay, I thought you still were.
And so when I had that department, and I was young because if you look at me, I look. When I went through Senate confirmation, I remember they were like, we have labor laws here.
Because you look too young to be doling out the liquor.
Or controlling it, right?
But
when I was going to leave there, right before that, I put a team together, an outside team. I brought an outside team. Now this is 20 years ago, right? So I put an outside team together and said, okay, we've got to make this the most efficient possible. Now, technology back then is very different than now, right? So we came up with different things, and the state applied some of those, and I applied them in my department. So when I was going to leave, because I decided I want to be an entrepreneur, I decided to leave, and I asked the team that I had put together that was outside, would you come with me? And I was very blessed to get a couple of big contracts right off the bat. But the law degree, I had wanted... I know one thing. For women, it is still very tough. Okay? It's still tough. And I wanted to sit at the table, have always liked that with the big boys. And I knew that understanding law, having a law degree, being able to negotiate.
Negotiate is
you know, would level the playing field from the beginning. And so that was part of my plan. I think one of the things maybe people don't always understand, because they do see me involved in different things, and now with Chic Innovator and the fashion shows and everything, is that I am creative, but I am also very strategic. And
that's a big thing. We call this multi-passionate now.
Yes,
I also have this same, right?
Yes.
And to be strategic, you actually need that creative thread.
Yes.
But it's really hard for people to see creative and also see analytical at the same time until you smash them into strategy. And then they're like, oh, we get it now.
Yeah,
But you're like, no, I contain multitudes.
Right.
Because you're doing a ton of things. You have a law degree, you're doing tech, you're doing fashion, and you're doing community building.
And my whole thing with all of this is, why not?
Right.
I mean, when
Exactly.
Why not throw one more thing on the pile?
No, but
here, I got another assignment
for me, when they see a man do it, no one questions it.
Exactly.
They're like, oh my God, he's so strategic.
How do you
he's
do
so
all
smart.
this stuff? Right.
Right, but when
they
they
never
see,
ask them
no,
how they do it.
never
Just
ask
women.
them how.
They ask women.
Just
They
they
ask
ask us, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
so-
what you meant.
And so I'm kind of an example, like you were saying, be comfortable with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is reality, and we can just do, you know. And
Well,
just,
what strikes me as ironic is, women are being asked, how do you do all that? We've been doing it our entire lives in history. Women have done everything from the home to building the homes, to having the babies, to helping the husbands in businesses. My father had a snack shop because I'm of Greek heritage, so of course we had a restaurant. But,
good food.
my mother was the one who really ran that place.
Right.
She really was the person who dealt with, the food vendors. E.B. Brown would come in and all that kind of stuff. Plus, she was raising 2 daughters, and she didn't drive, so she would have to take a cab back and forth to work.
But she figured it out.
But she figured it out. So it's not like this is something new. And that's kind of, I don't know how you feel about that, Arabel, but I just find it so galling when people say, how do you do all that stuff? Well, women have been doing all that stuff forever.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
We have just
It's just being
reclaimed our
recognized.
power.
Right.
Reclaimed
We're
our
calling it
power.
something now.
We've been given the opportunity, and we have been given a platform, so people are seeing it now. So it's not like we weren't doing it this whole time, but people now can see what you are building, and you can build it at scale, which is what you've been doing.
Right.
And it's so wonderful when you think about it, because for me, it's not about competing with anybody or with men.
Not.
It's actually, if you have me on your team, you're going to have a great team player, and you're going to be able to do a lot more, and you're going to go a lot further by having somebody like us on your team.
Right.
And so where before we kind of used to take it for granted, right? Like my mom, I was helping, and I had to sit her down after, Mom, you never helped. You were doing it. You were leading.
Right. They weren't helping.
And for me, that's really important for another reason. I have a daughter. And she's now in the workforce. She's in her 20s, and I want her to feel comfortable, and she does, being able to say, I'm a woman and I can do X, Y, and Z. It's a natural thing.
Right.
And so that's why I think it's also important for us to voice what we're doing and share with people what we're doing.
It's not so much that we're bragging.
Yes.
It's that we're just saying, this is what our reality is.
Yeah.
This is nothing out of the ordinary. There are women who are non-professional women who get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, get their kids ready for school, make them their lunches, get them their breakfast, get their clothes together, go to work a full-time job, come home, cook dinner, get those kids in the bathtub, make sure that they do their homework. How many things have I just enunciated that this woman does in one day? So even your quote unquote, maybe average office worker person or whatever, you don't have to be the president of the company to be a dynamo, is what we're saying. Every woman has their things that they have to do. And most women, not all, there's women who don't do so well, but most women give it their all to the point where they don't take care of themselves. And that's the thing that I hope we convey, that Melissa and I convey in this podcast, is that take a breath, step back, and take care of yourself, because we know one thing: if you don't take care of yourself, you can't really take care of
everybody else. And you deserve it, for goodness sake. You deserve it. Even if it's 5 minutes taking a deep breath, you know,
relax,
you deserve
put your
it.
feet up.
Yes, you deserve it. You deserve it. So, no, I think it's important. And thank you so much, because what you're doing is really important.
Yeah.
Again, you know, we're kind of an example.
Yeah.
And I love women, you know, that speak out and feel comfortable with yourself.
Absolutely. Those are the kinds of women that I gravitate towards.
Yes.
I like women who own their power.
Yes.
Own your power.
Yes.
So speaking about your power, because you, I have to say, Arabel, you know me with names, Arabel. Not known for remembering names. And this is my dear friend, Arabel. I do remember her name. But Arabel, not only being a dynamic business person, but she is a very prolific philanthropist. She runs a couple of nonprofit organizations. She's always looking to give back to the community. And one of your organizations that I'm interested in hearing more about, Arabel, if you can tell us, is about your organization called Pivoting in Heels. And I believe what I read about it is that it's an organization to help empower women, which is exactly what we're talking about right now.
Yes. So Pivoting in Heels, since legally, the structure was completed in 2019.
Okay.
But the reason it was started, really, it came from my daughter. So my daughter was at University of Michigan, and she had just started, and you know, she went from Walter Payton, which is a much smaller high school here in Chicago,
right downtown,
to University of Michigan, and it was a complete change.
Yeah.
Also, you know, single mom, her dad's very involved in her life, but she was living with me, and I probably was a little overprotective. And there she goes, you know, University of Michigan, and so. You know, there's a lot that young women go through when they go to university, no matter what their background is. And there's a lot of changes. There's a lot of things that are put in front of you. Drinking, there's this, there's that. You know, there's so much. At the same time, you want to educate yourself. And I remember we had long talks, and thank goodness she still talked to me. But she said, "Mom, there's no place where that we can go to as young women, where they have a place digitally where we can hear stories about how women have gotten through this." And as much as her and I are close, I clearly understood there's some things you don't want to talk to your mom about.
Absolutely.
Right.
But you need to go to a place to find out or hear. And so Pivoting in Heels actually started as a digital not-for-profit. And then it was announced as a digital not-for-profit 2019. And then remember, COVID came in.
Yes.
So then a lot of what we ended up doing initially was digitally getting interviews, talking to different people, especially women leaders, and kind of what they were doing. And then it evolved where one of the big things that we found, that a lot of young women coming out of college, they didn't have a lot of experience that they wanted, especially, you know, underprivileged young women, because they couldn't take on these internships and not get paid.
Yes.
And so we created a whole thing where we started paying for some of these internships.
Oh, how wonderful.
And then got them in different roles, and it's evolved. We also have a digital leadership training program on social etiquette. You ladies would love this. So that, you know, we've developed, because one of the other things, and you and I know, when you walk in many instances, it's the first 30 seconds when people meet you, but it's also, and again, I worked for a governor at a very young age, and, you know, I would get thrown in where I'd have to go to a very fancy banquet with the head of this and this and that, and you're sitting there, and, you know, you need to know proper etiquette. What are you going to wear? How are you going to look, this and that? And so some of that will make or break you very quickly, right?
Oh, I do want to point out, this is like the opposite of finishing school, where finishing school was very much like how to be social so you can help your husband. And now you're like, how to be social? Correct. How to be social because you deserve to be as perceived as powerful as you are.
Yes.
Which I love.
Yes. No, and it's very important. And again, I'll go back to my mom. As much as My mom, for many years, did not quite understand me because, again, I was more like my dad. She saw the feminine, but she was like, "Why are you doing all this stuff? Why don't you just marry and stay there?"
Right, there was one too. Let's marry somebody so you can stay home and you don't have to go to work. And I'm like,
I know.
you worked your whole life.
Right, my mom's like, we don't have a college fund for you because you're pretty. She really said that.
My mother said to me,
interesting.
what do you want to go to college for? Just marry somebody who can support you and you don't have to work. What are you going to go to college for? You don't need to bother with that stuff. And that's the reason I didn't go to college until I was 27 years old after I was married.
Well, I was 40
Yeah.
and then started college.
Yeah.
So that's after 3 startups.
Yeah.
That's after 3 businesses.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I just did 3 startups, and then
Right, well, they wouldn't accept
I
me
love
until
it.
then.
But I want to share with you that one of the things my mom did do is she said to me, no matter what you end up doing, she sent me to finishing school, what is called. So she sent me to Robert Morris. Do you guys remember?
Yeah.
They used to train people on how to walk, how to talk,
Right.
how to eat, how to all these things. And she said, I want you to go and I want you to get all this because then you'll be prepared for whatever hits you in the future. And that was so smart of her.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah. And so anyway, back to pivoting in heels. So those are some of the things we're doing. We do have a wonderful tea that we do. As
You need to invite me.
Yes,
I will
well,
come.
you all need
Where-
to come. It is at London House. This will be the 5th year that we're doing
London
it there.
House is gorgeous.
It sells out very quickly. It'll be April 13th, and they
Okay.
can go on Posh and look up.
I'm Posh.
Yes, and this year the theme is the Mad Hatter.
Oh, so
so-
we get to wear hat.
Yeah,
We
it's all about
are
the hat.
there.
It's all about the hat.
Oh, who doesn't
So-
love to wear a good hat?
Yes.
You got to come to this, everyone. Did
It
you hear?
is wonderful, and the funds go to Pivoting in Heels,
Which
and
is
some of the
a-
other projects
sounds
that
like
we're
a
doing.
fabulous
Fantastic.
organization.
Yeah, very, very
To help
fun.
young ladies get a start, a springboard to their careers.
Yes.
So
yeah.
this is a really great event. You get to wear hat.
And we do always have like a subject matter we have wonderful tea that London House provides,
Uh-huh.
but then also we'll have a little discussion at the table with a team leader. It's really fun. It's very
Oh.
fun.
Sounds
Because to
great.
me, everything that I do, if I have an event or something, I want people to leave inspired to do
well,
more.
and you do
know,
that.
So we want
Right.
to do that with
You
and
can do
and
that.
connected with
Yes.
with someone
A
who
female
yes,
can
population.
support them
Yes,
or
yes.
that they
About
can
how many
support.
people does
Yeah.
this?
about 100 people.
About the
Yeah.
venue is only 100 people, so that's
Yes,
going to
I
fill
know.
up
That's kind of
really
perfect.
quickly.
Yeah, it's perfect.
But what I'm
That's a
saying
perfect
is it's
size.
going to fill up really
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
So if you want to get tickets,
Thank you.
get this
Yeah.
as soon as you hear it. Go on Posh. Which is that a new platform for tickets? Because I've never been on
So
Posh.
Posh has
I went
become.
for your Chic Innovator.
Yes, it's been around now for about a year and a half.
Okay.
But what I've noticed, at least in the Chicagoland area, we did
Uh-huh.
a little research. Sorry, Eventbrite, but you got expensive.
Yeah.
It's a
They really did.
Yes. So we did research, and it's a little less expensive. It's easy to maneuver
Yeah,
in,
it's not bad. It's
So
not bad,
anyway,
yeah.
so we
All
love
right.
it.
Okay,
Well, make sure
excellent.
to email the link so we can
Yes.
publish it with the podcast.
We'll do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So go
Thank
to say what the name of the event is again.
Yes, it Mad Hatter.
Mad Hatter. It's
For
the
pivoting
Mad-
in heels. So either way, you'll find us.
Mad
I
Hatter
love
for
it.
pivoting in heels.
And we've got a
We
little
gotta
bit of
go
time
to that. That's fabulous.
Yes.
Got
I
time
gotta
to
get
put
a
up
hat.
Yeah.
to create a costume.
Okay.
Right
Now,
I love it.
now
Oh, I
that
can't
brings
wait.
us to
Yes.
your next big event that I believe you also donate money from that event
Yes.
as well. It is a non-for-profit event. It's always run during Chicago Fashion Week,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
again, this year it'll be in October.
October
And-
18th.
October 18th is Runway Latinx.
Latinx,
Okay.
yes.
And so, Arabel, tell us a little bit about what motivated you, because I know you've been doing it for several years now.
Yes.
What motivated you to start Runway Latinx? And tell us a little bit about how the event's set up. Because I personally, I went to like every event you can think of during Chicago Fashion Week. And by far, Latinx fashion show was the best event.
Oh,
it
thank
really
you.
was.
Thank
It
you.
was just
I remember you saying
on
this.
a grand scale.
Thank
It
you.
really was.
Thank
So
you.
could you tell us a little bit about what your motivation was for starting that and a little bit about the event?
Yes. So I used to do something called Latino Fashion Week. I had a partner with that, and we kind of separated
Uh-huh.
6 years ago. And because I wanted the funds that I raised through the events, for me, it's a way to give back.
Yeah.
I wanted it to go specifically somewhere, right? And I wasn't doing it to get money. I mean,
Yeah.
I thank goodness, very blessed. AAR Tech does very well. Thank you for all our partners. Thank you so much.
Snap.
Yes,
Snap.
snap,
Good
snap.
job
Yes.
building that.
And so I like giving back, and decided to do Runway Latinx. And it is an event, I believe. So we say fashion, gastronomy, mixology, and entertainment. And so apart from the fashion, and I really kind of hunt throughout the year for these incredible designers. We will have some local designers involved. And last year, I used to do 3 days. Last year, I narrowed it down to 1 day because of the fashion week.
Yeah.
And so trying to work.
And yours was kind of like the grand finale of the fashion.
It ended up being that way. And one of the things that happens is we have following from different countries, from different states. We have influencers that fly in from Miami, from New York, from LA, that come in and support. It is also, and has been from the beginning, live. So people see us in different parts of the world, which is
so
really
you're
kind of
live
cool.
streaming the
Well,
whole
she-
thing.
From what I
Oh,
remember,
wow.
didn't you have? I remember you had cameras from Telemundo, and didn't you have
Apart from
NBC
that.
too?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so she's
And ABC showed up, thank you. And then we were, prior to it, the media has been very supportive. WGN, CBS,
promoted.
really great. Like, we were so honored and grateful for that. But for me, one of the things we try to do with the event is I start thinking of a theme. I don't know what the theme is this year. And then we start actually working on the theme and getting out everything from our suggested attire and what that may look like to what we're going to be presenting, the designers promoting, the chefs promoting, the entertainment, literally 2 months in advance.
Okay.
And we're building it up.
Yeah.
That
So
makes sense.
for me, when people leave, and depending on what the theme is, right? Hopefully they'll leave again inspired, and the theme runs through everything, including all of the people that participate. It's very important to us because I do. And one of the years, 2 years ago, I think the theme was the ritual of fashion. So I do believe fashion is like a ritual.
It is.
That
That's when I get dressed.
right. Me too.
I started.
You do. I love it when you do.
Right. And
But it is a ritual, a
It's a
daily
ritual.
ritual. It's the ritual I go through. Yeah.
And it gets you revved up and everything. And so I try to, with what we do, and again, it doesn't just happen on that event. We have social media. We're on Instagram, and we're trying to educate people about fashion. What's going on out there in the world, but also the history of fashion, kind of the background. And so it's constant, and then it builds up to that day.
Yeah.
So it's, at least that's the way I feel about it. Like, that's what our team works on.
I love that. That's the creative coming in. That's the storyteller in you that just wove this whole story through every bit, every touch point.
And it's so important for us. And I want people to feel that. And so you've got to come, because I think you feel that when you're at the event. And then when you leave, again, hopefully there's like an excitement to it.
I mean, it was a fabulous event. This is the only fashion show that I went to that actually had vendors that were selling things. I bought I was telling Arabel, a beautiful ear cuff from one of the vendors. She had Cirrus footwear. Vanessa has Vanessa Arroyo, right?
Yes.
Vanessa Arroyo, who owns the company, has all her shoes made in Mexico, beautiful leathers, constructed beautifully,
Incredible
so comfortable
leather,
to wear, but they don't look like comfortable shoes. They look very stylish and chic. She had a wonderful tequila, a woman who started her own tequila brand that I believe you interviewed on your podcast.
On Chic Innovator, yes.
Wonderful woman, very warm, welcoming. She had all kinds of chefs, little bite-sized tidbits of everything, drinks. I mean, it was like an extravaganza.
It sounds like
wasn't
a
even
sensory
a fashion
experience.
show.
It is. I mean, in
Music.
so many ways. And then the designers, right?
And then,
we
of course, the
closed
fashion.
with this last year with Eric Bandanya. So if you look up Eric Bandanya, he actually just had come back from Dubai, closing Dubai. And, he's dressed people at the Met Gala. I mean, he's very high level, and he's a friend of mine, which is why he came in. But to me, I want people here that come to the event to experience as high level as they can
Right.
of everything, right? Of fashion, food, mixology.
Yeah.
And so I want them to have so much fun because we have a lot of fun. I mean,
we do. It was a good time.
And the models and everything. And so for me, it's kind of fun because it ends up being, there's like a plan, again, the strategic for each section. And we do everything internally. Mm-hmm. So we do the backstage. We do the running of the show backstage, plan that out. I pick the models. And the models, a lot of times people don't understand. We're bringing in very high-level designers, and they're very picky about who's going to wear them.
They sure are.
And so it takes, all of it takes time. But I think what I love is that the end product, is something that elevates Chicago. When people see what we're doing here, again, we're live streaming worldwide, that they think of us at a higher level.
Right, because we are one of the biggest cities
we are
in the entire United States, and yet, all we can focus on is New York. LA even gets a little bit more traction for their fashion week than we do, and I think we are really much bigger.
We deck out. We deck out.
We love we do. And the thing that we love about Arabel's Latinx fashion show is it kind of goes with our theme of our show, Melissa. Why don't we dress for dinner anymore? Because when you go to Arabel's show, you get dressed. Yeah. I mean, you are dressed. I mean, I wore an outfit that I wore once before to New York Fashion Week, and I had no place else to wear it. And when Arabel asked me to come to the event, I said, what should I wear? She says, glitter. I says, I have a perfect outfit. Yeah. I came dressed like Liberace and shorts.
Shimmer.
Yeah, shimmer. I mean, we were all dressed. We were all eating. We were all drinking. It was very busy. A lot of people, a lot of things going on. It was very much like almost like a huge gala kind of event type of a thing. So it really, those are the kinds of things that we want to see more and more happening in Chicago. The more we have beautiful, and don't get me wrong, I love the small fashion shows and I support the small fashion shows. I love them, but I also love myself a big, large scale event, with a big step and repeat. And
we need a few of those. I mean,
we like, it brings out the latent movie star in all of us.
We were just talking about this because, and I was telling you about some of my girlfriends. I mean, we all have these beautiful dresses and gowns and whatever. We want a place to show
Right. We were all dressed up and no place to go.
Exactly. We want a place to go.
You just have to make your own magic, which it sounds like you have this fashion show, you just made your own magic.
Yes.
Exactly.
Next time I get a fabulous outfit, I'm just going to call Arabel and say, you need to throw an event because I need some place to wear this outfit.
Which you look fabulous the other day. I had a red carpet event for Chic Innovator for the premiere, and you look fabulous.
Oh, thank you. Well,
everybody was like stopping her.
Oh, it was, and you look great. And she looked like a glamour queen. She had this beautiful pink shimmery gown, kind of ruche looking, very nice.
Teddy, have you ever considered that the reason you don't remember people's names is because you are so focused on exactly what they're wearing because they look so good?
I never thought of that, Melissa, but you could be right.
I think
because remember my story about John.
Yes.
And the one thing I pointed out to you was there's this guy named John. John, please forgive me. I'll never forget your name again. But he's a very attractive, very well put together gentleman. And I don't forget the way I remember him, and he'll come up to me, but for some reason I am the worst person in the world for names. I forget names at the drop of a hat.
Same, me too.
I just am not. I have to. I don't know. I've taken a million courses on how to remember names, and nothing ever sticks. So if anybody has any ideas, let me know. But this marvelous man, John, you may be right, Melissa, because I remember exactly how John looks. I remember he was an attractive man.
You remember the glasses.
I told you he had the platform and glasses. But his simple name, John, did not stick in this pea brain of mine. I don't know why.
I think you've got to start, when you meet people, just being like, oh, this outfit is named John.
Oh, there you go.
The outfit.
Right? Because
I'm naming your outfit, John.
Right, because you've got a mental block with the person's name.
Block.
You know if you like them, you know if they're nice, you know they made you feel good, you forget their name, so really it's just their outfit. This entity that looks like this.
I'll try it.
This incredible outfit
I'm game for anything. It's embarrassing. I mean, it embarrasses me when people remember my name.
You know what it is, though, too? Come on. face. We know so many people.
Yeah,
so many
I
people.
meet like,
So many
20,
people.
30 people at an event.
Yes.
And then we start following each other and then I forget.
Yes.
Do you know the average high school student knows 1,000 people, their faces and names? It is because we're getting older.
Is that?
I'm so
A
sorry.
thousand
No,
people,
I'm sorry. I always forgot people's
like
names,
us.
even in my 20s.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I know. I always do too. Yeah.
Hey,
I'm not.
I was a marketer
That's
for the
right.
hospital. And I would go to doctors' offices and I would have to make sure that I read the sign to remember their names because I couldn't remember what doctors I was going to see. And I had seen these doctors 10, 15 times.
You know what I am sad about? I understand like privacy, etc. But back when Google Glass came out, I was one of the 2,000 people that got a Google Glass.
I don't
Right?
even know what that is.
Okay, it's a computer for your face.
Yeah.
But you know what's nice is you could look up people's names. If I had facial recognition in my glasses that would just tell me someone's name, that would be so nice.
You mean
I
like in
need
your
it
regular
so much.
eyeglasses?
Yeah, they were just eyeglasses you
Yeah.
put on.
Oh, I thought they were like goggles or something.
No, the goggles are.
Oh.
No one loves wearing those, and that's
No.
why they're not taking off.
Right.
Build your secret world, but
Oh.
I want to be able to interact with the world around me, but I
Yeah.
still need a little help
I
with
always
people's
did.
names.
I always did. I'm terrible at. You know why I think I'm bad at facial recognition? Sometimes you're right, Melissa. I think I remember the outfits more, even sometimes on the people's faces, unless there's something really distinctive with hair color or something. But I think the reason that I'm so bad at names and faces is you want to talk about women in the old times. I had very bad sight. I mean, I had Coke bottle glasses, right?
Oh.
But from a young age, like at the age of 8, right? My mother would say to me, "Don't wear your glasses. Those take away from your appearance. Just put it."
No.
Oh, yes.
Oh my goodness.
No, don't wear your glasses. They take away from your appearance. Just wear them when you need to do your schoolwork or see the board at school. So I grew up learning that I should not wear my glasses because they're not going to make me look as attractive.
How did you learn? Just listening.
I'm smart.
You're
Yeah,
smart. You
no,
gotta-
I mean you had to be retaining
I'm
everything,
smart.
right?
Well,
I mean, that's like you
yeah.
only get like 60% of the material out of
Wait a
it. Wow.
minute. People used to think in school that I was stuck up because I would walk right past them and I wouldn't say hi. And then they get to know me and they say, I thought you were so stuck up because you never said.
I just can't see
I
you.
didn't say hi because I didn't see your face. So I think my mind just got used to blocking out, paying attention to details because I couldn't see them. And I really think that's the psychology behind that.
Oh, that is
So I didn't mean to get off the topic, but really that's, if I meet you and I can't remember your name, blame my mother who was very vain and I told her my glasses when I was 8
I
years
didn't
old.
need glasses until my 40, and now they're my favorite accessory, and I wear
No.
them all the time.
No, I did not.
And you look fabulous.
I did
think
not
you-
wear. I did not wear glasses on a daily basis until I was in my 50s. I wore contacts, of course, when I got older, But then my eyes got so dried out in my 50s that I couldn't stand the contacts anymore. So in my entire almost mid 50s to mid 60s, I wore glasses. Then I had the magic of cataracts. I had my cataracts removed, and they implant lenses in the back of your head. So now I have actually lenses implanted in the back of
You're
my
like the
head.
bionic woman now.
I know.
Yeah.
You are. You're the
I'm some
cyborg.
kind of
I love
an
this.
You are
I
the
love this,
cyborg.
yes.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
is
I
amazing.
love it.
So speaking of cool innovations, tell us about Chic Innovator, the
Yes.
podcast.
The podcast.
okay.
How did that get started, and what was the thought process behind that?
So with pivoting in heels and Runway Latinx, I always was doing the last day as a panel, and I
Okay.
bring in these people and I interview them, etc.
Yeah.
And a lot of women would come to the event, and that's how we would close the 3 days when we were doing it. So I've had several friends say to me, "You really should do a podcast or do something like this. Is a very natural." Especially one friend that I mentioned the other day at the event. Her name
Yeah.
is Alva, and she works with a lot of really large media stations, ABC, NBC,
Yeah.
whatever, with the general managers. So I had it in the back of my mind, but my purpose for it
Mm-hmm.
is really, and I mentioned this, is I get to meet these incredible individuals. Like I meet so many people, and I learn a lot, because of all the different things that
Aren't you
I'm
blown
involved
away
with.
sometimes by backgrounds that people come from, and then they make these big pivots in their careers?
Yes,
It's
and,
just very
and so and I get to travel a lot, and so was like, I want to share some of this. And some of it, the next part that we're starting now is I'm actually going to be talking directly to the audience about how to really create a successful life.
I love this.
Yeah, for me, it's very important. And so my ultimate goal with Chic Innovator is, and I love people looking fabulous and feeling fabulous, but I want them to step into whatever makes them really happy and create
their passion,
an incredible life for themselves. Because I've been able to do that. I really have created a life that if you look back when I started in my life, you wouldn't have imagined the things that I'm doing now, the people I'm meeting, the incredible, life that I've been able to create. But you can manifest or create anything that you want. And so Chic Innovator, I do want people to be fashionable, to show their style.
Right.
But I also want them in the long run to be able to create that life. And that's really the purpose behind it.
Right. So it's about sustaining the lifestyle that you want, how to build it and how to keep it.
Yeah, it's actually about creating it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then how to keep it. Because a lot of people, I think that's the one thing that a lot of people forget. I think it's very easy to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard to maintain that success.
I think it is very hard to maintain that success.
And so achieving that in the long run, and I want all of my friends, to live that kind of a life.
Yes.
The people that I surround myself.
We should all lift each other up.
Yes,
Absolutely.
and so that's kind of part of it. While at the same time showing a little bit of style, because fashion is a very important part of my life. I do think that it creates a message with what you wear.
It absolutely
and
does.
it helps your energy. It changes your energy, and everything is about energy, right? And so, we were saying it's kind of a ritual. Like fashion is a ritual. It really is a ritual that can uplift you and can really kind of change the energy that you're sending out there. And so that's a part of kind of what we're doing. And there's some fabulous people that I've gotten to interview that, they'll talk about, and, some of them have been CEOs of some of the largest companies. One of my friends that I just interviewed, Desiree Rogers, she owns Black Opal and Fashion Fair. We've been friends for a long time, and just the things that she's doing, and she's always looked fabulous. Like fantastic. And so that's kind of a part of the life of a lot of the people that I'm talking to and sharing the stories with, but it's also a part of my life. And so, and I'm not ashamed of it at all.
No.
I think it's something that I'm very proud of. And so I want to share it. And that's kind of the reasoning behind it.
And I agree with you that, it's not an exercise. Some people think, they're into fashion. It's just vanity. Clothes are just something you put on your back to stay warm or cold or hot or whatever. It's just more functional to a lot of people. But I agree with you, Arabel. I think people who are successful, the beginning of that success isn't just what's in their mind, but it's they know how to walk into a room and present themselves. And we talked about that in our current buddy episode right now about professional dress and how to get a seat at the table. And believe me, it's a lot easier to get people's attention if they're looking at you. If you're fading into the background, it's like, who's it that's talking what? But if you've got their attention...
I was just looking at this with the pictures of world leaders, both Angela Merkel and actually, I forgot the other one. I'm so embarrassed. But all of the men were wearing black suits. The women, both of them, red.
Yes.
Red
is the power
fantastic power color for women. So fabulous.
Yeah.
I love what you talked about with ritual and with manifesting things. Way back when I was a life coach, I used to tell people, turn anything into a moving meditation. You can't meditate, fine. Just meditate, turn it into a moving meditation. And that act of getting dressed, that everyday thing that you do, you can make that ordinary thing very extraordinary by just thinking about it, by celebrating the earring you put on, the way your lipstick matches, whatever you're doing, just by celebrating and thinking about it and meditating into it so that you can come into alignment, your outside with your inside, and present that.
Right. And it gives you a level of confidence.
Right.
And people appreciate it.
And you're going to attract what you are, right?
Exactly.
So I think being the best that you can be is really important. I think the other thing I want to be clear with people is, because I'm excited about this too. So Chic Innovator, we have about almost 50-50, not quite, but men and women. And so that was very deliberate too. So if you look at the logo that we have, and it took a while, to decide it and whatever, Chic Innovator. So the chic is in rose gold. And I actually created it for the graphic artist. I took a lip gloss because I couldn't get the texture for them to understand the texture that I wanted. And then Innovator is in black, and it's very solid. And so for me, masculine and feminine was very important to have as part of the logo and to send, again, that energy out. Because I can be both. And I'm very comfortable in both.
Yes.
And,
and sexy and serious as well. Absolutely.
Exactly. And so, but that's Chic Innovator.
Yeah. And you know what Chic Innovator reminds me of too? Because I think you are a natural mentor, it sounds to me, especially with your pivoting in heels, and now with the Latinx, of course, and now with Chic Innovator. It seems to me like you have the proclivity, you enjoy mentoring people, you enjoy sharing your knowledge, you enjoy helping to see young people succeed. And I think that's a wonderful thing. There's nothing, I don't think that there isn't anything more satisfying than working with a young person that you see has a lot of potential, and then you see them rise to that potential.
I love that's such an important part of my life. And even a lot of the engineers that work for me, and they work on huge projects, a lot of them are young. I mean, they're very smart. And the truth is, you've got to keep building for your future. It doesn't just happen, right? And so the way to do that is by the people that you surround yourself with, or that eventually you see will be in leadership positions, that you give as much as you can of the good so that they grow into that.
Right.
It doesn't just happen by accident.
Right. And they don't necessarily have to mimic everything that you do, but they kind of use what you do as kind of a blueprint for moving forward for themselves. And I've had the pleasure of doing that with several young people. And it's just nothing more gratifying to know that you helped somebody who had potential and maybe could have gotten lost in the shuffle, and you just kind of gave them that little extra boost, and they've just flourished.
I think the other part of it, and I think all of us, clearly understand that, is that it's a two-way street. So we're constantly learning.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? I mean, it keeps you
How many things are you learning from young people?
Yes.
The other day we were doing a film for Brittany Witz, Brittany from Wine Appetites. And one of the girls said, "Oh, by the way, Brittany, is it okay if we do BTS?" And I look at her and I go, "What's BTS?" She was behind the scenes. I go, "Oh, I'm just catching up with my initials."
Right. What is Gen Z talking about?
BTS?
Right. But lovely
Is
that's
something I missed.
Lovely that's short code now.
Huh?
I love that's a short code now. BTS.
Yeah, behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
So I learned something new. So we can always learn from
You're always
people.
learning. And so I think that's really
and
important
updated.
too. Yes.
Really, it keeps us updated.
It goes back and
instead of
forth,
stagnating.
It's really
Right,
important.
I think that's why, my daughters are both that same way. They're both teenagers as well. And it's just, oh, I didn't know people thought that way. They're like, oh yeah, Mom, you're
Well, they keep you current.
They do.
They
They
keep you up to date.
They're pretty lovely.
Well, ask Arabel, because we're going to be wrapping up now, but we have to ask Arabel one of our favorite questions.
What is one of our favorite questions? We have a list of 3 of our favorite questions on here. But so one of them is, what's your favorite era of fashion?
Okay. I think I have 2. I have one that I like looking at.
Okay.
Right? But I don't think I would have wanted to be there. And that's the Victorian era.
Yes.
I think it's so wonderful to look at it. And it was so elaborate. And both the men and the women, if you had money.
Right. Well, it's always if you have money.
If you didn't have money, and that was a tough era too. But I think those that were, able to dress up and have their clothes made and the lace and this and that, I think it was a wonderful era. I don't think I would have wanted to live in that era because there was so much that was required, right? Especially from women. And, the thought was you stay home and look pretty and that's it.
Right.
Right. So
slap that corset on, get that waist down to 22 inches.
And, but
smash in that rib cage.
the era that I think would have been fun to live in, and I love the fashion, was the Roaring 20s. because
A
I
lot
think
of people answered.
yeah, because I think people really kind of, especially women, were able to rip loose a little bit, and have fun and.
The skirts went up.
Skirts went up, and you got to dance more, and it was just
This is the
freedom.
rouging of the knees.
That was Astrid.
The rouging of the knees. The decorations on the knees. Teddy,
Yes.
I know you don't love your
face- the
knees,
flapper,
but
the flapper.
but we are going to we're going to host a summer event. What is it? Clowncore. In one of our episodes, she was like, Melissa became a clown.
We're gonna be part of the club.
I was like, we're bringing back clowncore versus the 20s. That's going to be our party.
Yeah.
Not as successful as Arabel's
No.
for obvious reasons.
Clowncore.
But we're going to
Okay.
paint the knees in the 20s
Okay.
because you are pinpointing this power again. Women came into their power.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Yes.
started to demand.
Yes. They
Yeah.
started to ask, and they wanted the freedom to be,
Vote.
who they were, right?
I don't
There
even
was so
think
many-
they
so
wanted
to
it.
me-
They just took it.
Yes. Yes.
You want to know
Yeah.
what I think is interesting?
was an announcement.
Because we've done, and I just counted it up in my mind today because I was asking Arabel how many podcasts she had done, and I'm trying to think of how many Melissa and I have done. And we've done, I believe, up to this date, about 23 podcasts.
Okay.
And we asked this
We're at
question.
18 recorded.
We asked this question in almost every single episode. What's your favorite era? And there are 3 eras that almost always come up one way or the other. It's the 20s,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
it's the 70s, and it's the 90s. And what do those 3 eras have in common? They're revolutionary.
Freedom.
They're revolutionary. Women in the vote.
Yes.
In the 70s, it was women's rights and civil rights. In the 90s, it was the pushback against the corporate America and the crashing of the Berlin Wall and getting rid of communism. So it was like, it seems like we're drawn to these eras where the clothes represent some kind of rebellion and some kind of taking back of power for those who don't have power. It's very interesting the way it all connects. We don't think of fashion as being something that deep, but it really is.
Well,
it really is.
and then
It-
again,
it
I'm like-
shows the energy that's
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
Like,
So
who told you fashion wasn't that deep? That's like people
Yes.
saying that conversations at a kitchen table are not that important.
white
Where
people
that's
sitting
where
at a
all the
kitchen
decisions
table.
get made.
yes, yes.
So
No,
Yeah.
it's very deep, and I think it'll be interesting to see what direction fashion goes in
Now.
these next couple of years.
well, we were just talking about this
Mhm.
because
That's on our next episode.
Castle Core has come out,
Mhm.
right? People dressing more medieval, wearing armor.
yes,
And then getting more glam has come out.
Yes.
More glam.
So what do those two things have in common with revolution? Like this is what I'm asking you. What are we wearing to the
Well-
revolution? I need to know.
Yeah, and here's the thing.
What do you think?
Well,
yeah.
let's
Yeah.
hear Arabel first. We always
What-
hear my thoughts.
you know
Too many
what?
times.
I think
What are we
you're.
wearing?
I think you're going to still see a lot more glamour.
Yes.
But it's almost more controlled glamour. Like I see.
How do you mean?
Because I don't know, and I think the powers that be, whatever, people that are talking and the way they're feeling, I think women also are feeling that there's more control that is trying to be put on them.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
and I think you might start seeing some of that reflected in the fashion.
So what you're
we'll
saying
see.
is
But-
then that women are trying to take, because we're now starting to be repressed again with taking away our reproductive rights, et cetera, et cetera. that
The
you're
government
saying-
doesn't believe in diversity.
right, no diversity. That kind of,
Nothing.
so tell me if I'm correct. What you're saying is that women are now glamorizing themselves in a very thoughtful fashion to say, I'm here, you're not going to put me in the background, I'm going to be noticeable, and I'm coming to the table. Yes or no?
Yes
Am I
and no.
wrong? Okay.
Yes and no. I think you're going to see two sides.
You're going to see
So,
corseted.
Yes, I think you're going to see some that will be more restrictive
Mm-hmm.
because not everybody's like us,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
That are
Corseted.
going to be
Yeah.
more corseted, tighter clothes, more fitted, more structured. But I think then you've got this other side
Mhm.
that are going to say, whatever that is, I'm still going to be glamorous and I'm going to have that shimmer and and you're going to notice me and
I'm not going away.
I'm not going away and I'm going to show my power.
And I'm going to do it to excess. It's going
Yes.
to be wanton glamour.
That's
which
what
kind
I
of
think, but
love.
we'll see.
Like, and we're gonna see people doing both of them.
Yes.
Like the memes, the memes that come through fashion are incredible, and I love seeing those things just ride out.
Yes.
Well, and one other thing, and we just talked about this in our last Buddy episode, is that in eras like in the 30s when there was the Depression, the horrible things happening over in Europe, we're debating whether to get involved in World War II. Things were not good in America at that point. So what did we see on the screen? Glamour, high glam, all the beautiful gowns, all the fashion.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. The two recession-proof things were
right.
makeup and alcohol.
Yes.
So escape and beauty.
Yes. So I think we're seeing some of that come back because right now I think a lot of us are feeling very stressed, very anxious. It feels almost like the world is becoming totally out of control. And one of the ways to take back control and to divert your attention to something more pleasant is to dress.
And to also show your presence. And that you're not going away and that your statements are valid and your thoughts are valid. And so we're here to stay and in a powerful way. Right. So I think we're going to see.
Yeah, I hope that comes to fruition. Because the other question, and that's really how the title of our podcast got started, why don't we dress for dinner anymore? Because Melissa and I had met at a curio event, and we were opining about the fact that you have to go to like fashion-focused events to see anybody get dressed anymore because everybody looks like they're going to go to do a barbecue in the backyard.
Girls have to come out with my girls.
And you're spending hundreds of dollars on a beautiful meal, and people are dressed like they're going to go hoe the backyard. So that's how we came up with.
They're gonna hoe the backyard.
I don't know where I came up with that hoe the backyard.
I love it because you also mentioned barbecue, and so I'm just thinking about Davy Dukes and I call them Davy Dukes, by the way. Daisy Dukes and little tops.
Yeah, it's just like nobody is putting forth the effort anymore. A lot of people blamed it on COVID, and I agree that after COVID it became like on steroids, this absolutely casual dress, but it was happening way before that. So one of the other favorite questions we like to ask our guests is, why do you think, because this really, I saw it starting to creep into our culture in the early 2000s, late 90s, is this casual dress, this constant casual dress. It'd be different if you are going to a pizza parlor or you're just going to a Chuck E. Cheese with your 5-year-old or something. But if you're going out to a dinner, I remember my mom, when she went out to dinner with my dad, she got dressed. She dressed for dinner. She didn't go in a pair of jeans and a themed t-shirt or whatever. And we've lost that element of the celebration of just life, that you got dressed for an event. So what are your thoughts on this, Arabel? What are your thoughts on why do you think we've become such a we have casual Fridays, that whole thing. What's your take on why has this become such a casually dressed society?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with casual but I think casual doesn't mean that you have to look not put together. I live in Lincoln Park, so I do casual. I call it my urban casual, but my colors are coordinated. I'll have my nice little hat. I'll have a nice scarf. There's nothing wrong with being casual and being comfortable, but you can still look put together.
Yes.
And so I think to me, being put together, the way you look, again, sends a message. So be it for my going to Starbucks or whatever, I think it's important for you to be put together. And oh my goodness, my girlfriends, they love dressing up, and if we're going out to dinner or whatever. One of the things I think that gives Chicago a bad rap is that they think because it's cold outside and it's, snowing or whatever. And I tell everybody, when I travel, even to other countries, I go, look, my girls, we arrive, we have all these layers. We start taking off the layers, but underneath and all, we're going to look spectacular.
Right.
And so I think there's a spirit lifting to looking spectacular. And why not do it for yourself?
Absolutely.
It's so fun.
It is.
And I think like you, I was taught at a very, early age, I'm Latina, Mexican, like you're a month old and they have earrings in you.
Yes.
Right. And you don't leave the house without a little perfume. You don't leave the house with this and that. And so without it, so you're taught to be put together. I mean, that's kind of a part of it. It's part of your way of living. And for me, it shows that you're going to take it from A to Z. That the way that you are, that whatever you do, you're going to do it
the best.
Yes.
Right.
And so I think us as women, why not? Why not show your power? Why not show your elegance? Why not show your beauty as much as you can? When you're going out, be put together. If you don't have very expensive clothes,
doesn't
matter. You can coordinate it in such a way. You can put a nice little belt.
Let them be clean and tidy. And
well thought out.
And there's so many opportunities out there for people, to do that. And so take advantage of it and do it. It sends a big message about you.
A huge message.
Yes.
And I think, that is one of the focus of our podcast, is to help explain maybe in entertaining ways that really the way you dress isn't something that's superfluous. It's not just, not important. It's very important, whether you're a career person, whether you're going out to celebrate a party. Like you, I come from an ethnic background. All my grandparents were from Greece. In our Greek family, you were expected to dress up for every event. You didn't go to somebody's house wearing, shorts and flip-flops. If you were going to Christmas or you were going to Thanksgiving or whatever, christenings, funerals, whatever, you get dressed. If you go to a Greek church, you will still see people. You will not see women wearing blue jeans in a Greek church. That just will not happen. They didn't even wear pants. Women didn't even wear pants in Greek churches till probably about 20 years ago because...
Oh, they still don't wear them in Mormon churches.
Yeah, well, that's a whole different
I grew up
story.
Mormon.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah, but
Mormons.
still, those Mormons.
Those Mormons.
Let's not talk about them on air. They'll come for me.
Don't make you
She's
a
right
multiple
here.
one.
No, just kidding.
She's going to be one of those Mormon ones.
No, but I think it's a
cultural thing,
sign
I think.
of respect.
It
A
is.
sign of respect.
And
That's
getting
it.
dressed is a sign of
for
respect for yourself.
yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's for
and
yourself.
for the people. But it's also a sign of respect for the people that you're with.
Yeah,
Because if I'm getting dressed up to be with you, that means that I thought enough of you that I wanted to look my best. Not like, it's just Melissa coming over. I got a curler dangling out of my hair, no makeup on, and, a clip on to keep my bathrobe on. If it's somebody whose company I really appreciate, I'm going to make sure that even if it's casual wear, it's all put together because I want you to know that I am happy to see you. That, there you are.
And you know what?
I get dressed when I go out to brunch with my friend.
Yeah, and just do it for yourself.
And do it for
Honestly,
yourself.
just do it for yourself because I think it all begins with us, right? It all begins, like you were saying.
Right, you got to have
you gotta
self-care.
Yeah, self-care and take care of yourself, and you deserve it. You deserve it. So why not? Again, it doesn't mean it has to be dressed up. You could be casual, but put together.
Yes.
In the way, that you send a very positive message about yourself.
Right, absolutely.
All right, but before we close, now tell us how to find you online and tell us one more time about your upcoming event so that people know where to register.
Yes. So Pivoting in Heels is having a tea. It's our annual tea. And you can go to Posh and look up Pivoting in Heels or the Mad Hatter tea, which will take place at London House on April 13th. And then our big fashion show is Runway Latinx, and that will take place on October 18th. It's a Saturday. We're just doing the one day. And then all kinds of things you can find out. Follow me at Arabel22 on Instagram, and Chic Innovator. We are all over the place. We're on YouTube, we're on Apple, we're on Spotify, and I can't wait to see us. So can't wait. And thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you, Arabel. You're a delightful guest,
fun.
and you're always an inspiration. So before we leave, Melissa, I just want to ask you something.
What's that?
Why don't we dress for dinner anymore?
Beats me, Teddy. Why don't we?
I don't get it.
I don't know either.